So guys, former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, accusing Tinubu of deducting 100 billion naira monthly from the federation account without any approval. So guys, this Tinubu's government is something else. You know, Tinubu's government has turned out to become something else. You can imagine him deducting such an amount without approval. El-Rufai is questioning where is Tinubu directing that money. It is a monthly withdrawal, and he's saying nobody approves it. Tinubu just takes it like that. He's also questioning why the worsening insecurity in the midst of such a withdrawal. Why is Tinubu not channeling that money into security, protecting Nigerians? Anyway, guys, I'm going to allow you to take a look at what El-Rufai actually said here, but I also want to share with you the reaction from Arise TV as regards to the recent, kidnapping incidents happening in Ore-Bini Road. That road has become hell for Nigerian travelers. I mean, these Fulani terrorists are all over, the road leading to Ore-Bini, as if you are going from Lagos to the southeast. I mean, they are there kidnapping and buying people anyhow. There is this recent occurrence that happened on that road that led to, so many people being kidnapped, their whereabouts still unknown. One woman lost her life in the course of that kidnapping. So guys, this country has become something else. Now just take your time and watch this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more. Now take a look.
Government data, I'm not quoting something out of the air. So for that 100 billion that goes out every month from Federation account, without appropriation by the National Assembly, by the way, without appropriation by the state assemblies, because part of the money belongs to the states. So each state assembly is supposed to appropriate that part. So the entire deduction and expenditure is unconstitutional. It's an impeachable offense. But it has been going on for more than 15 months from the last time I checked. So where has that 1.5 trillion gone? What is it being used for? Why is the security situation just getting worse? Why is the government asking communities to protect themselves? Look,
well, I have
President Tinubu's government has failed woefully. Look, beyond, if you asked me in 2022 or 2023 when we were campaigning that things will ever be this bad, I would say that you are mentally ill.
Very briefly, because we're almost out of time.
Watch it on video. Let's take a look.
I'm a kidnapper for broad daylight. Kidnapper, they're not just a shushu thing here. See, they don't even keep person for themselves. We don't know who they key. Now they hear they see gone. We don't know who they key. They don't keep person for ground. See, that truck so they hold and stand. Hey, everybody they watch. They big carry anything come here. See. They don't shoot person. No. They don't keep person.
Well, there were also some follow-up clips from the scene that indicate that the assailants continued their operation even as Nigerian army personnel arrived, with sporadic gunfire still audible. The Benin-Ore Expressway, a major federal highway linking Edo State to Ondo and beyond, has long been identified as a high-risk corridor for armed robbery, kidnapping and banditry. Now, despite the presence of multiple security checkpoints, criminal groups continue to exploit heavy traffic, poor visibility in bushy areas and slow response times to carry out ambushes, often in broad daylight. Well, of course, this is the kind of story that generates several reactions. Let's go to X, where this user said, with the number of security checkpoints within this region, such incidents shouldn't even be occurring in the first place. It's scary, but also not completely surprising. Again, little to nothing might be done, aside a press release statement and empty promises. The government's focus is on how to tax Nigerians. Well, PRO also tweeted and said every state needs active helicopters for an emergency response. Now, because we're still talking on insecurity, I'd like to tie this in with an event that you touched on earlier and that really shook many of us to the core yesterday here in Lagos State. as the State Police Command yesterday responded to reports from 3 private schools in the Ikeja area that reported that they had received distress messages from the same unknown WhatsApp number. Now, in response, the Commissioner of Police, CP Olohundare Jimo, mobilized and personally led a team of police operatives, including a team of experts from the command's explosive ordnance disposal, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear EODCBRN, the Rapid Response Squad, and other tactical teams to the school premises for on-the-spot assessment and security reinforcement. A sweep of the school environment, including classrooms, administrative offices, halls, playgrounds, and surrounding premises of each of the schools, was conducted by the experts to rule out the presence of improvised explosive devices or any other dangerous or suspicious materials. So the operation yielded no explosive or hazardous device, and the schools were consequently declared safe for continued academic and administrative activities. However, of course, we know that the students yesterday had already been evacuated early from the school premises, regular operations are said to continue today as police officers have now been deployed to each of those schools to guarantee their security. So we have an incident in Edo State on an expressway that has unfortunately now become notorious for various criminal activity. And then Lagos, closer to home. I never thought we'd, hear of a bomb scare so close, and we're looking at some of the most quality private schools that we have. Let me start with you, El-Rufai.
Vimbai, I kept on saying Jesus Christ because I know that road too well. I lived in Warri. I plied that road. We'll come on holidays through that road. I have slept on that road, not once, not twice, not 3 times. Benin Shagamu Expressway, the Ondo route up to Benin. In fact, I remember one particular episode in the 90s. I slept on that road. It was a contact set. It was a station wagon, Peugeot station wagon, and we had problems with the contact sets. I don't know if they still make cars that have contact sets again these days. It was a Peugeot station wagon, and we started to sleep on that road. We felt safe. We felt secure. Vimbai, today, you can hardly ply that road because of things like this. On the Ondo axis, there's so much happening. Now the Ore axis. I still had a friend that plied that road yesterday, and that's why my mind was not at rest. In fact, I had to ask him, hope you're okay. In fact, when I went to pee while we're on the air, I called him again. He said, my brother, you worry too much. I said, no.
But he heard about the incident, I'm sure.
But I heard about the incident. Yeah. You see, this problem is deeper than what's on the surface. You know what it means? The Nigerian state has gradually lost the monopoly of violence. Section 14, Section 2 says the role of the government is to protect people. Nigerian governments have finally shown that they cannot protect people again. And when that happens, there's anarchy in the land. This is anarchy. Anarchy is when 177 people were kidnapped and the government comes out to lie and deny that it never happened until the list was released. So anarchy is officially in the land. The question is if you are part of it, if you get affected, that's when you know the impact. The people that died there are not just numbers. Allegedly, because we don't even see it. So what can we do? The government, yes, America will help you, give you some. You should be able to effectively diverse a means because all that you are doing apparently is not working.
I come quickly to you, especially on the Lagos State. Of course, we know that nothing was found. So for now, the police are calling it a hoax because there was no evidence of, anything like a bomb, but just this bomb scare on its, on its own.
It's a very expensive hoax because how do you disabuse the minds of parents and guardians to take their wards back to school, especially because of the prevailing security situation or insecurity situation in the country? And that's why we said that it shouldn't be until it comes to our doorstep before we begin to see that this is a problem, because as we often say, it could happen anywhere. As long as insecurity remains a challenge in Nigeria, it could move from the north, where it is, where we talk about most commonly, to parts of the south. And that's why when you hear statements like this, people would believe it, whether or not it was a hoax. And it would cause fear and panic in people because it is possible. So what we are calling for when we keep saying, let there be, let the government address insecurity head on and decisively across the country. This is the reason why we're saying that. It's interesting because I have relatives in some of the schools identified. Many people would know one or two people in this school. So it's very prominent. It's coming closer to home. And that's why every Nigerian must speak up, and the government, most importantly, must ask to act to ensure that we feel safe in our communities, in going to school. And I must mention the reason why school is important. We've said it before that, especially in the north where it's happened, there's a threat, there's an attack against education. And when you attack education in any nation, you attack the future, you attack the young people in any nation. We often talk about how the greatest resource in Nigeria are the young people, the youthful population. When you attack education, you attack the future of a nation. So it's a big statement right there. And so I'm hoping that this, yes, whilst we're saying, okay, security will be deployed, we're looking for its prevention. Very quickly on the Benin Ore road.
Let's round
Just very quickly. Yeah. Last year, August, about 13 people were kidnapped on that same road. All the kidnapped victims were rescued. However, the kidnappers were not apprehended. This is what we talk about when we say that it's beyond just saying, oh, we rescued without going after the perpetrators. It would happen again. And that's a sad story of what's happened again, where we see that, this, altercation between the police and the criminals. I think it's important for us to keep on highlighting the fact that until Nigeria is safe, it has far-reaching impact on the economy, on the education, on the future of our nation.
Dr. Bati, just a quick word, very quick before we move on.
Well, what happened on the Benin Ore Expressway, which is a major highway linking the west to the east. I mean, most people, it's not just between Ore, between Ondo State and Edo State. It's from Lagos all the way down to the south. This is the challenge of insecurity that we face in the country. Now, part of the problem with that road, that expressway, was the poor condition of the road. Now, they fixed it up to a certain point just before you get to Benin, and yet it is not safe. And I think that should be a source of concern to many Nigerians, that the rail lines are not safe. There's a lot of anxiety with air travel, and then you are going on the roads, you are also not secure. Transportation is very important. We were celebrating Morocco this morning, saying they did well. Transportation was one of the things that the Moroccans brought to the table. That's why they can be considered for hosting the World Cup in 2030. Now look at where we are in Nigeria. And again, the same insecurity is what will make it possible for pranksters. People, perhaps this new category of professionals in Nigeria called content creators, perhaps, just scaremongering about, schools about to be attacked and all of that, and then throwing the entire city of Lagos into confusion. Yes. It was not only in Ikeja that schools already closed down. Also on the island, everywhere, people started rushing to schools to go and to go and rescue their children. So that kind of panic does not make for good living, does not make for peace and stability in any environment whatsoever. And that is why government, whether federal or state, must always be on red alert, high alert, to make sure that we don't have all this, panic, situations.
Yes, absolutely, and of course we do commend the Lagos State Police Command for attending to the situation and doing so swiftly. And we hope that we can maintain an environment of peace, not just in Lagos, but we need to restore peace all across the country. Now, just for an update, now an attack occurred at Lekki Palm Estate on Thursday morning by a group of miscreants claiming to be acting on the directors of the Oba of Lagos, Oba Rilwan Akiolu and Oba Olumebo. Eyewitnesses said the individuals stormed the estate and invoked the monarch's name while carrying out their actions. This claim that the group was sent by the Obas is, of course, yet to be independently verified, and efforts to obtain clarification from official palace sources are still ongoing. The Lagos State Police Command have arrested some suspects and launched an investigation. But this is an update because you will recall that earlier this week we saw the demolition of buildings that were said to be violating planning regulations by not securing layout approvals in this this very same estate. So following some demolitions, we're now seeing some miscreants going into that place, and I hope that situation can be arrested. Now we move on to other matters. As the retired judges of Kogi State have raised serious concerns over what they describe as prolonged neglect and the persistent refusal of the state government to pay their retirement benefits several years after leaving active judicial service. The retired judicial officers who bowed out of service between 2021 and 2023 after decades of meritorious service to the state and the nation say they are now living in hardship, uncertainty and emotional distress as a result of the non-payment of their constitutionally guaranteed entitlements. In a statement made available to the press on Thursday, judges accused the Kogi State government of violating clear constitutional provisions and established laws that guarantee pensions, gratuities and allowances for retired judicial officers. They noted that these benefits are not privileges but legal rights meant to preserve the dignity, independence and welfare of judges after retirement. We have police, we have army, now judges are joining this community that cry out for their allowances and their pensions when they're out of service. Dr. Abati, let me start with you.
Okay, I think what is going on in Kogi State is scandalous. However, it is not surprising. Retired persons in this country, whether they are from the military or from the judiciary or from the civil service generally, are routinely treated shabbily by persons who should realize that they themselves will end up in retirement. Now, it's a big scandal in the case of Kogi State because these are constitutionally guaranteed rights. You know, the retired judges are asking for their rights, not for a privilege. A retired judge, there are established laws that guarantee that their gratuities will be paid, their medical allowances will be paid, and then, you know, some arrears that are outstanding will be paid, and also, they are also, I think, entitled to vehicle allowance. And in Kogi State since 2021, you know, all of this has not been paid. And you have judges of that Kogi State extraction, including a former president of the Customary Court of Appeal, including persons like the former chief judge of the state, including persons like Justice Misa, Justice Oluwasegun, Justice Omeza, I think Omeza Utu. You know, these are persons who had served Nigeria for decades, you know, without blemish. And then they retire, you don't pay their gratuities, their allowances, and all of that. And yet, this same Kogi State government got about 92.5 billion within the first 7 months of the year 2025. And these judges, they've gone there, they have done documentation, they have done verification, like those railway and Nigeria Airways workers of old. And you just treat them this shabbily. Now, Justice Governor Udodo, they have even petitioned him. So what kind of distraction is disturbing him that he cannot attend to these distinguished members of society? However, the problem is I raise this question about the violation of the independence of the judiciary. Because when you treat judges badly when during retirement, then what message are you sending to those who are still practicing, who are still working? So they will say, well, even if we retire, they will not pay us. And then, of course, you know, it promotes, I don't want to use the word, but it means that, you know,
corruption.
Judges that are still in service, they will now look out for themselves. No, I don't want to use a familiar phrase. You know, and of course, you know, this is not good enough. Two options are available to the retired judges. They can go and picket governor's office, so that if the matter gets to that level. Secondly, they can also go to court. They can go to court.
There's nothing in the court.
They can go to court. But the only thing you can say is that if they go to court, maybe the matter will drag. But they have to also insist on their rights. And, you know, we are here.
What we should say is that Ododo should pay them as we speak immediately.
He should pay them.
Dr. Abati, see,
but they have to compel them.
The fact that we're even talking about this matter
Yes.
It's an indication of a big disgrace on our country as we speak.
Yeah.
You see, and when we talk, some people say we are demarketing Nigeria. These are matters that we should not even contend with. President Tinubu is a president that said he has done a lot of judicial reforms, he's increased their money. At a time like this, Ododo should be made to pay them forthwith.
I hope he has read. I hope he has read the petition. But he has an attorney general.
Yes.
And commissioner of justice. What is he doing? That one too is sleeping on duty.
Oyo State, Ojo Adebayo used the example of the former governor of Oyo State, Senator Ajimobi, who also inherited a problem like this, and based on that, he swiftly responded to the demands of the. And so he is taking this up, saying that justice to one or injustice to one is injustice to all. So he's actually issued a 14-day ultimatum to the governor, failing which he would take him to court. But the most important thing, Ojo SAN, yes, Adebayo SAN. But the most important thing is that Governor Dodo should do the right thing by the judges. It is disgraceful. It is an abuse of their rights.
Please. After we say now, they say we are demarketing Nigeria. Are these politicians not demarketing the country?
Let's not allow our judges to go to court over this issue. Now, let's look at, as we're talking about bread and butter issues around the economy are really close to the heart right now. Former governor of Edo State and senator representing Edo North, Adams Oshiomhole, has said that Nigerians are now saying food is becoming too cheap. Mr. Oshiomhole explained that the reforms by President Bola Tinubu's government were working when asked what would Mr. Tinubu use as his campaign point for re-election. Well, let's listen.
The truth is this: we promise radical reforms.
And there has
Who are touched
radical
taxation
implication on the pockets of the average person.
Which average person? You pick this for the matter of the people. No. Have you gone to see people complaining? There are Nigerians now who are saying
cost of production,
food is becoming too cheap
cost of living.
Cost of living is what now? It's higher now?
No, I'm saying that from the time the president got into office and the policies.
Oh, there are Nigerians who are saying now food is becoming too cheap. Well, let's see what people had to say on X. A. Adebanjo tweeted and said, "We shouldn't let the comfort of the wealthy cloud the reality of the masses. Just because a few people don't notice the price of a basket of tomatoes doesn't mean the crisis is over. For the general public, the struggle to eat is still very real. We're seeing a gradual improvement compared to the peaks of last year, but for most, food is still far from affordable." Blings also tweeted and said, foodstuffs may be getting cheaper, but there is no money to buy. Now, we've joined this with a story where earlier in the week, a Nigerian man, Olabode Ifeanyi, shared a documented comparison of grocery prices between 2020 and 2026 after purchasing the same items listed on an old supermarket receipt that he had found. So in a post on X, Ifeanyi said he decided to buy every item on a receipt that was issued to him in 2020 to measure how prices have changed over time. According to the receipts he uploaded, the total cost of the items in 2020 was 25,225 naira. However, when he bought the exact same products in January of 2026, the total bill was 147,050 naira. So based on these figures, the increase represents about 582% price increase over 6 years. So they say that if your salary in 2020 has not increased by 6 times, then you are poorer. Well, this is what he wrote. So, of course, we know that just because these items have multiplied by 582% doesn't mean that the inflation rate is 582%. But just tying it into this conversation where we're saying Nigerians feel that food is becoming too cheap. Rufai, you've spoken a lot about this particular issue. I know you've had a lot of back and forth with Reuters as well about purchasing power and how purchasing power has been eroded.
My opinion was not to comment about it because I don't like to respond to partisan, very insular and tunnel vision opinions about the state and the plight of the Nigerian people. Are
you referring to Senator Oshiomhole?
Yes, okay. Because he's very partisan and his opinions are very, insular. Definitely, he can't talk against the president. He can't talk against the APC. He can't talk against the government. He can't. But I would like to do it to be able to set the record straight. Food is becoming too cheap, Mr. Oshiomhole, in a country that has 15% inflation. Double digits. Can you reconcile both logically, even by? Food is becoming too cheap in a country Let's even take their inflation number of 15%. But food is becoming too cheap in a country that has 15% inflation rates. Can you logically balance that argument? Food is becoming too cheap. Food is becoming too cheap in a country that its minimum wage can probably struggle to buy a bag of rice. Food is becoming too cheap. But in the same country, Vimbai, as in 1981, when they passed a new minimum wage that he knows about, that was 125 naira, that minimum wage could buy about 3-4 bags of rice. Food is becoming too cheap. Food is becoming too cheap in a country where people go to bed hungry. The poverty level has increased. A lot of people are slid into poverty. Food is becoming too cheap in a country where you have the astronomical costs of things. Food is becoming too cheap. Food is becoming too cheap in a country where people do 100 or 001. Food is becoming too cheap. Too cheap. Underline the word too cheap in a country. If food is becoming too cheap in Nigeria as we speak today, that means insecurity is not happening. That means what happened on Benin or the Expressway did not happen.
Okay, food inflation. Now, recently we discussed the Nigerian the National Bureau of Statistics report, where they said the methodology, was changed, rebasing, methodology review, and all that, and they arrived at 15.15% in terms of headline inflation. Even in that report by the Bureau of Statistics, food inflation, according to the MBS, that many economists have criticized, they in fact admitted that food inflation has gone up. What most people use is to say, a bag of rice that used to be over 100,000 or maybe about 76,000 is now about 50,000 naira. The question to ask is, that bag of rice that they say is now within the range of 50,000, is it a bag of rice that is coming from paddy production in Nigeria or from our rice fields, or is it importation? Is it that the government is importing and flooding the market with, more bags of rice ahead of this election season, so that you can create this impression, that food prices are going down? The reality is that, look, to survive in Nigeria is still a very expensive thing, even at the level of the basic need of being able to feed oneself. Now, the other thing, of course, is that I commend the gentleman. Some people here are very good at keeping junk, but that junk is now useful. Can you imagine somebody keeping a receipt from a supermarket in 2020 and bringing it out in 2026 and going to compare and contrast? As they say, the thing speaks for itself. If you spent 25,000 naira in 2020 and now you are spending over 100,000 to buy the same items, there should be no argument about that. The thing is obvious enough. It speaks for itself. But part of the responsibility of government is to ensure food security, which is one of the major subjects that the Vice President of Nigeria, leading the delegation of Nigeria to Davos World Economic Forum, addressed yesterday about food security. Maybe when we deal with food security and we prioritize primary agriculture, which we have not done, then maybe perhaps we begin to see concrete improvement. It's not through rhetoric. It's something that can be adjudged through reality.
Through reality. Now, I'd like you to comment on that as well as the next story. So let me take this so you can take them together. Right. Yesterday, social media was agog as Abdul Rashid Maina, the former chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Pension Reforms, claimed that the assets currently linked to Abubakar Malami, former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, represent far less than a quarter of what was allegedly misappropriated. Maina recently gained his freedom after serving an 8-year term at Kuje Correctional Center following a conviction of money laundering to the tune of 2 billion naira. He was speaking while receiving the Rule of Law and Courage Award from the Garki branch of the Nigerian Bar Association in Abuja. And Maina said the authorities have only scratched the surface, adding that more can and should be recovered from Malami, as he called for further investigations.
What has seen so far is not even one quarter, because my speciality is the recovery of public funds. I trace funds wherever they are, and that is why they've been after me. We can recover these funds from Malami. They are more than what has been seen. What is 217 billion properties? Yes, the government is doing the right thing. The government is doing the right thing, because if we don't start there must be accountability, transparency, and the rule of law, which is what I see this government is actually doing, as against what the last administration has been doing. Because all these things happened during the last administration. I don't believe this could happen in this administration.
He doesn't believe. Well, let's see what social media have to say. They said on X, you see, if it's in one of the foreign countries, they can use this ex-convict to achieve a lot because they deal with idea and experience. Not everything is political. Mena knows how these works because he did it too, so he'll know how to get it recovered. Well, that's one side of the story. Umar also tweeted and said, unbelievable. Who secretly pardoned Mena? I know he was convicted in 2023 and was meant to serve 8 years in prison, and the Court of Appeal also upheld the judgment of the High Court. And I did do the findings, and that case was concluded in 2023, but he's clearly out of Kuje Correctional Center. Hasn't been 8 years yet since 2023, so that's another investigation that needs to be done.
But let me just say, maybe on good behavior, since now he's now a bastion of the rule of law, having been recognized by the Nigerian Bar Association to boot. NBA recognized him shortly after coming out of prison based on corruption charges. You cannot make this up. Sometimes stories like this only happen in countries like Nigeria, and we need to change that narrative. I think the fact that he has the boldness to come out to speak at receiving that award is a slap on the face on a lot of Nigerians, particularly pensioners, who had to suffer as a result of misappropriation of funds which he was sentenced for. That's one. On the other hand, in terms of what he said, according to the money, there's still an investigation ongoing with regards to Malami's case, and until that is concluded, he cannot make statements except he wants to perhaps offer information that would help the investigation to properly convict him if found guilty. And then that's absolutely correct. What he's saying is not out of the ordinary. But let me put this out side by side with the previous story of him around what Senator Shomole said, and just listen to people who are watching, hearing these huge amounts of money being looted by people who are supposed to hold the money in trust, and you're languishing trying to afford 1 meal a day. And you talk about why crime should not be on the increase, or why people shouldn't help themselves. Yes, you can give the moral justification for that, but you have to understand that when we continue to see largesse like this through corrupt means and the people are suffering, you are just giving fodder for more criminality. That's why kidnappers will have a justification for going out to do what they want to do. Bandits will have a justification. That's why we'll see people who are terrorists being indoctrinated based on these things that we see and we listen that sound like fiction. And so when that's on one hand. On the other hand, with what Senator Shomole said, is the fact that it also shows that perhaps people in government are totally out of touch with the realities of Nigerians, pure and simple. He might actually believe what he said, because maybe he went to the market and he saw, and it shows, and that's worrying. If a senator can make such a statement, means let him go to his senatorial district and see how many people can afford to eat in that senatorial district. And so I'm worried if someone who has perhaps even the ears of the president is making statements like this, how will they make policies rightly for to address food security? The president declared a state of emergency on food insecurity. If you go and tell him that, no sir, they're even saying that food is too cheap, are these the people that he's listening to? Are these the people that are advising the president? They are completely out of touch, and that is a huge problem. This is a senator who is meant to be representing the voices and the plight of his people, and so maybe he needs to go back and speak to his constituents and really find and feel the pulse of the people and know how many Nigerians are suffering, how many Nigerians are hungry, how many Nigerians have been pushed into poverty since this administration began. I think it's quite insensitive, and I think it demonstrates just out of touch some of our leaders are with the realities on ground of people who cannot afford even a meal a day in Nigeria.
No, it was quite insulting to be told food is too cheap, because I don't feel that food is too cheap. I'm still finding it extremely expensive to just buy the basics. Well, different strokes for different folks. Maybe they will increase. I do. I love it.
You should employ somebody who would do your
I like to haggle. I like to bargain and negotiate.
You need to save every penny. every single kobo.
Exactly.
You big television personalities going to the market. You should recruit somebody.
I wear face mask and face cap, and I go and say, look at this woman. Let me increase the price. I go and say, I'll speak Yoruba to them. Yeah, kilo. You have to save every penny, every kobo.
Just imagine. You're just still on this matter. See the list that guy brought out to do the compare and contrast. That's 145,000. Is that no more than the so-called minimum wage?
It's double the minimum wage. Double the minimum wage.
So the states, although some states like Rivers and Lagos, they pay more.
Let's, it is a Friday. If Oji were here, I know she would be saying TGIF. So let's lighten the mood a little bit. As members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers in Kaduna staged a colorful parade in honor of their national leader, MC Oluomo, during a recent event in the state. Dressed in traditional white and green attire, the NURTW members marched in formation as union leaders looked on. MC Oluomo and other officials were seen standing and applauding the march, acknowledging the show of solidarity and support. This is what it looked like. He looks well pleased.
Up national.
MC.
The way you people are going, you will over-promote MC Oluomo Akinsanya to become Minister of Transportation, because this publicity is getting too much. Every story, MC Oluomo.
The chairman of the APC said they want to reward loyalists, so
he will become your Minister of Transport.
Would you respect?
At this rate,
give him anything he wants. MC Niye, MC Baba.
By the way, those RTW, they should go and take instruction from the police about how to march properly. When you turn, you don't just turn like that. No. Even those of us who went to NYSC camp, that's not what they taught us now.
MC
this is not even the right.
Where was it? I think it's empowerment. I really don't think it's empowerment.
Empowerment for MC
Oluomo is inspecting guard of honor. And a parade.
What is the purpose of this parade? And I don't even think that term really.
People are very bold.
MC Oluomo is inspecting guard of honor.
All right. Well, just a lighter note. Let's also go to our good news today, where in our good news, Nigerian Afrobeat stars have taken over Paris Fashion Week. Davido, Fino, Joeboy, among others, have been spotted gracing the front rows and red carpets at this year's Paris Fashion Week. Davido and Fino sat together at the Feng Chen Wang runway show, looking exquisitely dapper. So let's take a look at some of the pictures.
So guys, I'm going to quickly take you through some of the reactions coming from Nigerians as a result of El-Rufai criticizing the Tinubu's government. Yes, some people have said El-Rufai is also part of the reasons for worsening insecurity currently in Nigeria. You know, many people have actually accused El-Rufai to have been there while all these things have been happening. Anyway, let me take you through some reactions. Like this person said, these are weighty allegations. And another person here also reacted and said, once they begin to cultivate their own presidential ambition, they go begin, they cast each other. Another person here said, he has left the country again. Tinubu isn't interested in leadership for any positive decision for generality of Nigeria. Whosoever thinks he will work for Nigeria is just being insincere. So guys, this person is saying Tinubu has left the country again. So meaning Tinubu is not currently in Nigeria. I don't even know about that. And this other person here said, after this man is done with us, Nayawa Shah. And this other person here said, this alleged figure sum up to the total value of Lagos Calabar Express project. I do hope El-Rufai has verifiable facts to back up this allegation. Might just be a political stunt to score cheap political goals. Another person here said, Tinubu is a well-known thief. Nigerians have no idea the amount of looting going on in Tinubu's government. So guys, Nigerians have no idea what is happening. You see it? Oh my God. Now, this person here said, this claim lacks evidence and is politically motivated. The deductions are routine first line charges handled by due process, not presidential fiat. The administration has instead improved transparency and enforced full remittances. And this other person here say, God must punish you. You, Buhari and APC brought in bandits, terrorists, so they can disturb Jonathan government when Buhari failed elections. But Buhari won and the terrorists stood their ground that they won't leave Nigeria back to Sahel. This is the money Tinubu is for security. That is the money Tinubu is maybe using for security, I don't know. And then this other person, allegations should always be verified through proper institutions. Nigerian democracy is built on due process, and we trust the relevant authorities to clarify the facts. So guys, these are weighty allegations. They no fit carry and go heaven, make them continue. God sees everything. El-Rufai is too bold to come out and be making such a claim. In some other countries, this is a treason and can be punishable. Accusing your president directly of looting without evidence. Okay. And then this other person here said, why should Nigerians take disgruntled El-Rufai seriously when he helped facilitate the very evil we all are experiencing today? You have zero credibility to accuse the thief you enabled of stealing. Simply because the so-called national cake and stealing didn't benefit you. And this is an impeachable offense for you on your mandate, National Assembly. Let us know when you wake up. And this other person here said, this man is playing himself for the monies he spent in 2023 to rig the election in his favor. He also pays those who can talk and steal their mouth with a huge payment. The governors are receiving fat allocations. Defected governors receive 250 billion, and all that is not for nothing. I don't trust what this man say though. This is a big allegation. Every everyone comes online to say things without any proof or evidence. I don't even think something like this is not going on, but 100 billion every month direct from the Federation account, come now. Anyway, these are reactions from Nigerians, and this person said, personally, El-Rufai is equivalent to Doris Ogala. All these ones is doing is COS Chris. No agree Mariam as agreed. He's very instrumental in installing the APC government that have ruined our country from Buhari to Tinubu. In fact, Doris Ogala better pass themselves. Politicians, they thief poor people commonwealth, poor people with empty belly, they defend them online. So guys, it's really so funny. You know, and this one here says, for the fact that his claim is coming from a man who campaigned for Tinubu and himself is also a thief, but him having the courage to speak out openly, I believe him. Openly, I believe him. And this person say cheap blackmail. This is exactly what Sanusi Lamido did to Jonathan. Anytime they want to unseat a southern president, they come up with stupid allegations. Despite all the atrocities that happened under Buhari, none of these northern politician activists said anything sad. So guys, this is it. And this means the unchecked power haunts everybody. Transparency isn't optional. It's the backbone of trust. Citizens deserve accountability, not secret deduction. Real leadership protects resources, uplifts people, and ensure money serves the education, healthcare, and opportunities for all, not a few. And this other person here said, while I didn't like what Tinubu is doing, how El-Rufai, who helped enthrone the worst president Nigeria has ever had, suggesting we address this issue. I'm tired of people just pointing out the freaking problems without solutions. And this person said, I have a phobia for anything coming from El-Rufai. To start with, El-Rufai is not a good man and can never be. I chose a Tinubu over and over again over an El-Rufai or whatever he says. These are the exact lies they pushed prior to 2015 against Jonathan. They all don't care about the masses or the country. They are all after their personal pocket. Give El-Rufai the helm of leadership today, and I assure you that he will be worse than Tinubu in tenfold. El-Rufai is a penchant for lies. OBJ, my watch. And this president, Tinubu, is not hoping on Nigerian votes and does not care. He's expecting INEC to write fake results for him, as usual, while the court validates the fraud. They are already planning ahead, as they have sent Injustice Omotosho to appeal court to wait for election cases. Omotosho is now in appeal court. Can you imagine? They believe this man will lie past Satan. He's just doing this to make Tinubu look bad before the masses. No matter what they say, and the 2027 is already for Tinubu, let them cry forever. Nobody cares. Okay, it's already for Tinubu because of INEC. And this person says, he is now your enemy. You were doing and winning with him before now. You tried so hard to recruit Nigerians into your battle to self-interest. Evil man, fuck you. El-Rufai suddenly became a wide-mouthed brother from the north who now cares. The politics isn't favoring him now, and he's all over the TV, newspaper, radio, internet, ranting. And this other person here also said Tinubu is operating a criminal organization as government. You don't, you guys will be opening your eyes one by one. Of course, he does. But the president was said by Boko Haram. I didn't hear little finger complain when Boko Haram was doing it. So this person is saying it actually, Tinubu withdraws, but it actually started during El-Rufai's period. So guys, these people will not finish Nigerians. I mean, they will not finish Nigerians. I'm just wondering why all these things are happening at the time when people are hungry. So guys, I don't know what you make of all this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more. Thank you.